Hey guys, it's Edwin here, and today I'll be talking about maladaptive daydreaming. It's actually a phenomenon which is rarely talked about, but before we discuss about that, we first have to understand that daydreaming is a common experience, and nearly like everyone engages in it to some extent. And actually, when we daydream, our mind kind of wanders to these imaginary scenario, or we revisit those happy or cherished moments we had in the past. So you might catch yourself like daydreaming about your dream vacation, let's say while waiting in that long grocery store line, or you might find yourself envisioning about that exciting adventure during that tedious office meeting, or just any location. So, regardless of the location or the content of your daydreams, they represent these unrestricted wanderings of our thoughts and our imaginations. So, they just push us to this place, this imaginary place. And it's entirely natural and healthy mental activity. And in fact, sometimes, like when you daydream, it can have significant benefits like problem solving and creativity. So, normal daydreams like typically don't consume a substantial amount of your time. You might do it for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and then get on with your life. It doesn't like significantly affect your day-to-day life because it just takes you away, or it just whisks you away from the mundane, the boring, the day-to-day stuff, and it takes you into this mental journey where we explore our imaginations, or where we are allowed to explore scenarios that ignite our curiosity. So normal daydreaming is just like that. It takes a small period of time. However, now, while daydreams like often serve as delightful mental escapes, it's important to recognize that not all forms of daydreaming are equally beneficial. In some cases, actually, daydreaming can like steer you away from exploration of your real life, and you might find yourself leaning towards escapism or coping, like using daydreaming as a coping mechanism or a form of escape, which happens so mostly unconsciously or consciously. So this is where like the concept of maladaptive daydreaming enters the picture. Some people may call it like excessive daydreaming or addicted to immersive daydreaming, and that's what I'll be sharing in this video. So what is like maladaptive daydreaming? Like what is it exactly? So maladaptive daydreaming, sometimes abbreviated as MD, is a term coined by an Israeli psychologist called Eli Soma. He coined this term in around 2002, and he describes it as a mental health condition where individuals engage in excessive daydreaming. That's the keyword, excessive daydreaming, to the extent that it significantly affects their day-to-day life, and even makes it really hard for someone to engage in their daily activities. And actually, those people who experience maladaptive daydreaming become like deeply absorbed of or deeply ingrained in these fantasies, and even sometimes spending hours or hours each day immersed in the imaginary world. So someone might just stay in this daydream for like 2 hours consecutively, or for even 3 hours. And actually, within these imaginary realms, or these imaginary worlds where the maladaptive daydreamer creates, they might become so engrossed that they create characters or friends. And these friends may be based on people they know in real life, or they may be entirely fictional, or just a mix of both. So someone might just make a friend with a celebrity in this imaginary world. And the thing is, so a maladaptive daydreamer may also revisit these scenes repeatedly, or go to this scenario when distracted, or when they are when distracted, or when they are interrupted. So, and also like, while for some maladaptive dreamers, like the experience is enjoyable, some other people have reported that their daydreams can actually have negative views or negative undertones. So it's not always pleasant dreams. They can also be unpleasant dreams, but it's just absorbing you completely to the point where it stops you from engaging in your daily activities. So what are some of the characteristics of maladaptive daydreaming, or the things which separate normal daydreaming from maladaptive? The first thing is duration. Actually, One of the defining features of maladaptive daydreaming is the substantial amount of time it consumes. So these episodes of daydreams can persist from extended periods of time, can even last for several consecutive hours. Even when I was doing the research, like some people say that it can last for 8 to 12 hours of their day. So these prolonged immersion can reach a point where someone neglects their day-to-day activities or their crucial tasks and responsibilities and just live in this dream. So they might neglect their real lives and just live in this dream because this dream is quite enjoyable. So it really leads to this significant imbalance between the time spent in the inner world and the time spent in their real lives, or time required to fulfill their real life obligations and responsibilities, or to even follow their hobbies. So the main characteristic is time or duration. The second factor is intense emotional attachment. This is also like another defining factor because like a maladaptive daydreamer may have these intense and strong feelings to the people or to the characters in their dreams. They might have this strong emotional attachment to those people in their dreams. Some people even say that they love the people in their dreams more than the people in their real lives. And these emotions can be anything from extreme happiness, euphoria, excitement to deep sadness and anxiety, depending on the content and the context of the daydreams. So, for maladaptive daydreamers, their daydreams can really stir up these powerful feelings. The third characteristic is compulsive nature. Like maladaptive daydreaming is addictive. It's similar to when an alcoholic is craving that drink. Like someone who engages in maladaptive or who is dealing with maladaptive daydreaming craves that daydream. They have this strong compulsive urge to daydream. And when this urge strikes, like this urge to daydream, it sometimes proves to be irresistible and it's even impossible for them to control. The same way as an alcoholic is craving that drink. So the daydreamer becomes ensnared in this cycle where the impulse to daydream overpowers the ability to control it. That's why it's also called an uncontrollable daydream. So even when they try to consciously wish to abstain from the daydream, let's say you want to just use willpower to just not daydream, you find yourself still veering off that path. So consequently, they often find themselves powerless in the face of intense longing, which can even lead to feeling so distressed when they are unable to daydream. Same way, like when you are addicted to a drug, when you miss that drug, you will feel this distress or this bad if you don't get it. And actually, the lack of control over this daydreaming can be immensely frustrating for someone dealing with maladaptive daydreaming, and it can lead to this sense of hopelessness and helplessness, and even interfere with someone's ability to function in their day-to-day life, in their real life, because they just want to go to this world to the point where they don't want this other real world. They want to go to this imaginary world. That's why people can end up ruining their relationships or because they're not fully engaged in their surroundings. The fourth common sign is intricate storylines. So maladaptive daydreams actually, they often unfold as intricate narratives, complete with well-defined characters, elaborate plot lines, and immersive and imaginative settings. It's just like a very, very good movie or a very, very good fictional novel. So the inner worlds are not just like things which are don't have connection. No, they are more like fleeting thoughts, but with fully realized landscapes, sometimes as vivid and engrossing as the experience of reality. It can look so real, but even much better than the reality. So within these daydreams, actually, individuals may find themselves navigating relationship. They might even be married in these daydreams, or having this best friend, or they are embarking on thrilling adventures, or they are solving intricate mysteries. In fact, actually, as I was doing research on this, like many maladaptive daydreamers actually possess this remarkable talent for crafting a compelling fictional storyline, like very very good storyline which is worthy of an Oscar. For example, someone might assume the role of a very great archaeologist in the daydream, and they might be exploring this ancient civilization, they might be exploring these Mayan culture, and it's so clear and succinct and vivid what they are doing. Like they cannot explain to you everything they are doing in this dream. So that's a very major characteristic of maladaptive daydreaming. The fifth one is disconnection. So when someone is in this deep state of daydreaming, they can become so lost in it or so stuck in it to the point where they forget about what's happening around them. So they might not really notice what's happening in their surrounding or in the world outside their thoughts when they are in that moment of daydreaming. Or they might not even feel, they may just feel like they're in a different space mentally. The point where someone might be talking to themselves and they don't even realize that other people are watching them. It's like they are in their own world and everything else becomes less important for a while. It's just about the dream, the dream. The last characteristic is repetition. So what makes maladaptive daydreaming different from regular daydreaming is that people who experience maladaptive daydreaming actually tend to go back to the same scenes, the same detailed stories or ideas over and over again, even for their lifetime. Actually, this can continue for a very, very long time. Like, let's say if you are a princess in that daydream, you will still go back to it even when you are distracted. Unlike normal daydreaming, where like you might change to different things, most of the time, like maladaptive daydreaming has the same character and the same storyline. So you might get stuck in this loop or repeating this cycle of the same daydreams that stay the same over a long period of time. So those are the 6 characteristics of maladaptive daydreaming. So in conclusion, like maladaptive daydreaming, although like it's often overlooked sometimes because from what I've read, like people say that they might visit a therapist and then a therapist tells them that hey, it's just a coping mechanism or it's not real. It's actually a significant phenomenon and it has profound impact on the mental health of individuals who experience it. And the crucial thing to understand is this, like maladaptive daydreaming is not a permanent state. It's not like you were born a dreamer. No, it's just a coping mechanism that emerges in response to an underlying emotional or psychological wounds. These wounds can be trauma, it can be neglect. We'll talk about it more in future. But these underlying issues are unique to each individual. Each individual has a different root cause to their maladaptive daydreaming. Not everyone is in one box, no. That's why the good news is, as long as something has a cause, as long as something has a root cause, maladaptive daydreaming can be managed and even overcome. Of course, with the right tools and with the right therapy and with the right understanding. And actually, by addressing and healing those core wounds, which are unconsciously pulling you or pushing you towards that dream, you'll get to the point where your real life is so amazing to the point where you don't feel the need to go back to that dream, or you don't feel that unconscious pull to go back to the safe space, which is your daydream. So hope you found that informative, guys, and feel free to share, comment, and if you'd like some help with this, you can always book a free breakthrough call with me and we'll go through this. Until next time, have a nice day.